Into this video, we are going to draw this cute kawaii illustration of a pizza in Procreate. During this easy step-by-step tutorial, you'll get familiar with a lot of useful features like recoloring with reference tool, making a gradient, as well as clipping masks and blending mode. And also, you'll learn the basics of drawing in Procreate. By the end, you'll not only draw an adorable illustration you'll be proud of, but also feel super confident using Procreate. And now, let's spend some time drawing. Let's begin our class firstly by deciding what kind of canvas we are going to be using. Today we are using a simple standard square canvas that you can find in Procreate. Both pixel width and pixel height are set at 2048 pixels. Of course, if you'd like to use your own dimensions, you are welcome to go and do that. As for DPI, we are using 300 and our color profile is set as sRGB with this low number. When it's all done, we are getting to our canvas, and the first thing that we will need to do is to decide what kind of colors we are going to be using throughout this whole tutorial. So if you want to use your own colors, you are welcome to do it, but if you want to follow along and use the same colors that you will see throughout this video, you are welcome to go to the description and download the colors. When we are done, let's just go and select our first color. So we are going to our color palettes, and here we'll go under cards. We will select the color with the name lines. When we did it, we will go to our brush library, and we can either go into the inking folder and select the technical pen brush, or we can go to the calligraphy folder and select the monoline brush. You can try it out onto your canvas, decide which brush you want to use, and what we need to adjust here is to go to the brush of your choice and go inside the brush studio. On the left, we will go under stabilization, and here on the top, we will be tweaking the amount of streamline. This way, we will create very smooth lines. So you can try out this option, go to the drawing pad, try out how it works. When you are satisfied with the lines that you are going to be creating, let's just hit done and let's start creating our lines. So firstly, we will go and adjust the size of the brush to something not too big and not too small. So adjust it to your liking, and when you are done, we will go and create a shape of the curve. So let's just go with the shape like that, and at the end, we will hold our line. You can see we can move it and adjust its direction. We will just need to go and create something in that way. When we lift up our Apple Pencil, we can go over the top to this option Edit. This is our editing mode. Here we can go to these nodes, we can hold our Apple Pencil at some of them, and we can adjust the shape of our curve and on overall shape. So you can decide whether you want to adjust your shape or not, and when you are overall satisfied, if you want to move this shape, you can hold your Apple Pencil at some blank space and move it to the place you want it to be. So for example, let's just go with something like that, and when we are done with our editing mode, let's just tap on the screen and let's just go and make a copy of this line. We will do it by going to our layers, and we will go to this layer number 1, we will swipe it from right to left, and we will choose duplicate. Now we have 2 layers with a similar content. We will go to the top one, and then we will go to our arrow key on the top left. On the bottom, we will use the option uniform, and then we will hold our Apple Pencil at some blank space, and we will move this line up, so that way we are creating some thickness to our pizza crust. If you want to make this shape a little bit bigger, you are welcome to go to one of the nodes on the bounding box and adjust the size of this element. Find the thickness of the crust that you would prefer, and when you are done, let's just tap on our arrow key to deselect everything. Now, when we have the result like that, let's just go to our layers and we'll combine these 2 layers together, so everything that we are creating will be on one layer. We will go to the layer on the top, we will tap on it, and we will choose merge down. Now we have both of our lines on one layer. Now let's just go and continue creating our shape. So firstly, let's just go over this side on the left, and we will go and create a curve to close this shape. What we need to do is to connect it very nicely and very smoothly, and also we will just need to go and create the closed lines. When we are creating the closed lines, we know that we will be able later on to add the color and that it won't leak out from our shape. So try to not create any gaps between your lines. Now, when we've connected the shape on our left, let's just go to the right and we will create some kind of a similar shape, but this time we will go with the shape like that. So again, we are creating a curve, but we are going up with a shape like that. Connect it nicely with the top part and with the bottom part, and when we have the result like that, let's just go to the bottom and we will start creating the crust itself. So we will just go and start creating a line going in that direction. Hold it at the end as always. If you want to adjust the direction of this line, you are welcome to go and do that. Basically what we need is something like that. When you have the result like that, let's just go and connect it with our crust. So we are going to our right part, we are going to the top part of our crust, and we will just go and create a curve going down in that way. Try to make a nice connection between these two shapes, and also try to make the line even when you are connecting it with your other shape. If you have some elements that you want to adjust, go to the eraser and erase the parts that you don't need. When we have the result like that, let's continue by going to our left and we will be creating another part of our pizza slice. So what we need to do firstly, let's go to this crust element, we will step a bit from it to the right and we will create a little line going in that way. If you want, you can go with a straight line, or if you want, you can go and create a little dent in the shape of the curve. When you have something in that way, let's just go and create some cheesy part here. So we are not going to be creating a straight line, we will just go down with a smoother line, with a smoother curve like that. When you reach the bottom, let's just go and connect it with our right part by creating a curve like that. Again, connect it nicely where you have this connection with the bottom part. If you need to erase some parts, grab an eraser and erase the parts that you don't need. Now let's just take a look at everything that we have here and decide whether we want to adjust it or not. For example, let's just go and make the whole illustration that we have right now a little bit smaller. And to do that, we will go to our arrow key. Again, we are using uniform method. And to make it smaller gradually, we will go to one of the nodes that we have on the top or on the bottom in the middle. So let's, for example, go to the bottom. We will hold our Apple Pencil there and we will just drag it up. Adjust the size to your liking. If you want to rotate your shape, you are welcome to go to this green node over the top, hold your Apple Pencil there and make a rotational movement. So find what works for you, the size and the rotation and everything here. If you want to adjust the shape even more, let's just go and do that. So firstly, we can start by going to our freeform method and, for example, squish our shape just a little bit. We will go to this node that we have on our left, which is our bottom part on the pizza, and we will just drag it a little bit higher. If you want to adjust it even more, we can go to the distort option. When we are at the distort option, we can go to one of our corners and drag it and adjust the perspective of our illustration. So you can play around with the shape and find what works for you. And when you are overall satisfied with everything here, let's just tap on our arrow key to go away from this mode. So now when we have the result like that, let's just get back to our brush and we will go to this little part right here where we have the connection between the crust and the bottom part of the crust, and we will start creating some cheesy part here. So firstly, let's just go to this little corner that we have right here and we will go down with a shape like that. So we are nicely connecting it with our crust and we are creating another curve like that. When we have the result like that, we will go and start creating some melting parts here on the bottom. So let's firstly go somewhere to the middle and we will start by creating a little drop like that. So we are going a little bit higher than this line that we have here and we are just creating a drop going down in that way. You can adjust the size of your elements, you can adjust the curvature and the overall shape of your drop. Just remember that the bottom part of this element should be a little bit bigger than its middle part. If you have some parts that you need to adjust or erase, grab an eraser and adjust it to your liking. Also, we will just go to this line that we have right here on the top and we will erase it too. If you want, you can go to this little tips that you have right here on the top of this little drop that you created, and we can just go and either erase them completely or create very smooth and very little elements like that. So play around, find what works for you, and when you are done, let's just go and continue creating our droplets. So now let's continue by going to our left and we will create a bigger shape here. So we will start by going to this line that we have right here, and from this line we will go with a curve down in that way. Again, create a drop, make it bigger or smaller and connect it nicely with the overall shape that you have right here. You can go with the shape like that, or if you don't like it, you can just go and create it one more time and maybe create a different pattern. Maybe you want to go and connect it with this first drop that you've created right here. So you can just go and play around with the elements right here. When you are overall satisfied with this little droplet, one more time, let's just go grab our eraser and erase all the lines that we don't need. If you need to adjust something else, you are welcome to go and do that. So now when we have two of these elements, let's just go to our right and let's create one more of these elements. So we will go again to our line that we have right here on the bottom, and we will go again with a curve going down in the same way that we have right here on the left. So let's just go and create maybe a bigger drop right here. And when you've reached this line right here, let's connect it with this little curve that we have on the top. So very easily just go in there and connecting it nicely. And now let's just grab our eraser and let's just spend some time adjusting our lines. Try to make the lines evenly thick and erase all the intersecting and overlapping lines that you don't need. If you want to adjust your shapes even more, we can go and do that. For this part, we will go under our Magic Wand tool and we will go under Liquify. On the bottom, we have a lot of options. Don't worry, we will just need to go under Push. And what we are going to be changing is the size of the brush that we are going to be pushing with. So let's just go and find the size that we will work with, and then we will just go to some of the areas and we will go and tweak them and we will find what works for us. So you can just squish them a little bit, you can make them bigger or smaller, just spend some time here and adjust the shapes to your liking. You can work only with the droplets right here, or you can just go along the whole shape and adjust it to your liking too. When you are done playing with this feature, let's just tap on our Magic Wand tool twice and let's just go and continue creating other elements. So firstly, we will get back to our brush and we can go to this left part where we have this cheesy part, and we can go and create a little element that later on we will recolor differently. So we will just go and continue creating the line going in that way. You can go and create a few of these little elements. This is the part that later on we will recolor as our little sauce part. So when we have the overall shape of our pizza, let's just go and start creating the lines on the top, and this will be again our cheese part. So let's just go to this top part and we will start creating a little line going in that way. So you can create a different shape if you want. Just imagine that it is our cheese part and you can just go with some very peculiar shape here. When you have the result like that, let's just go to our layers and we will create one more layer here. If you are using the brush with the technical pen, you will need to go for this element to our monoline brush. And if you want to adjust the streamline here, you are welcome to go and do that too. What we need to do is to go and create a shape of the circle. Very easily, we are just going there and creating this shape, holding it at the ends, and then we will go to our edit mode. And if you have the option circle here, you are welcome to go and use it. If you don't have this option here, we will just go and manually adjust the shape so it has a shape of a perfectly round circle. Or you can just try it out one more time and adjust the shape to your liking. So when you have the shape of this perfectly round circle, let's just move it to our left. So we will just put it underneath this little curve here. And when we are done, we will just tap on our screen. When we have the result like that, we will go to our layers and we will make a copy of this layer. So one more time, swiping the layer from right to left and choosing duplicate. We will go to this layer on the top, we will go to our arrow key, we will go to the uniform method and we will make this shape just a little bit bigger. So again, you can go gradually by going to this node on the bottom and drag it down, and then we will just need to go and make a thickness on this little part. So now we are creating a little pepperoni, so we will just need to add some thickness. Let's just move the shape a little bit down, and if you have the result that you don't like, that is a little bit going toward the sides, we can go to our freeform method and we can squish it just a little bit so we will actually have only the bottom part that we need. So basically what we need is something like that. You can go with any direction for this thickness. If you want, you can go a little bit diagonally or just down. It's all up to you. When you are satisfied with the result, let's just tap on our arrow key, and then we will go and merge these two layers together. So again, we are going to the top, tapping and selecting merge down. Now take a look at everything right here from the distance. Decide whether you like the size of this element, the rotation of it. If you want to adjust it, go to the arrow key and adjust it from here. Firstly, go to the uniform methods, play around with your shape and find what works for you. When you did it, let's just tap on our arrow key and let's just go and make 2 more copies of this element. So one more time, go into our layers, swiping the layer from right to left, choosing duplicate, and doing it one more time. And now let's just go select one of these layers that we have on the top. We are going again to our arrow key and let's just go and find the placement for our second little pepperoni. So you can again go and adjust it to your liking. If you want to rotate it, rotate it. If you want to make it bigger, make it bigger. It's all up to you. When you found the placement, we will just need to tap on our arrow key to deselect it, and then we will go to our next layer and we will do the same thing here. For now, let's just move it to the bottom, and we are not adding too many elements right here in the middle part because here we will have some facial features and they will be a little bit disturbing if they were here. So let's just find the placement for this last pepperoni that we have here. We will deselect everything. One more time, we will take a look at everything from the distance, decide whether we like it or not. If you want to adjust it even more, you are welcome to go and do that. So play around with your elements, find what works for you. When you are done with pepperonis, let's just go and merge all of these 3 layers together. Or if you are feeling bold, you can just go and merge all of the layers together. It's all up to you. So now when we have the result like that, let's just get back to our previous brush if you were using it. So it was our technical pen from the inking folder, and let's just go and start adding a few more details here. So we will just go and firstly create some spinach parts. So let's just go to some blank space from our pepperonis and we will just go with some leafy elements. So you can go with some free shapes. It's all up to you. Basically what we need is something like that. So for example, let's just go with the shape like that. So we will just go to the top with a little rounded rectangle like that. And then we will go to the sides and we will create some leafy parts. So you can go with the very pointy leaves or you can go with the very rounded leaves. It's all up to you. When you have the result like that, let's just go and create some additional lines. So we will just go and create the lines of division. So we will just go and create something in that way. When you have the first element like that, let's just go and make a copy of it. And as we are not on a separate layer, we will just need to select only this element. Let's just go to our S ribbon icon and we will select the freehand method on the bottom. With the freehand method, we will just go and select only this element that we want to copy. We will loop it around, and when only this element is selected, we will go to our screen and we will swipe down 3 fingers. You will invoke the copy and paste menu, and we will just need to select copy right now. And this time we will do the same thing. So we are swiping 3 fingers down and we will choose paste. Now we have a copy of this element. It has a bounding box. So let's just go and find the placement for this element. You can play around with the position, with the size and with everything. And when you are satisfied with everything here, let's just go and deselect everything. One more time, we are going to our layers and you can see that we have this layer inserted image. This is our little part right here that we copied and pasted. And we will just need to go and merge it with our previous layer. When we did it, let's just go and continue creating some other little parts. Let's just go and create a few additional parts, some sprinkles, some particles, some things that will make our illustration better. So we will just go along the whole shape and, for example, let's just go and start with the crafts. We will go with our brush and we will just go and start creating some additional elements like that later on we will recolor differently. So we can just go and create some little dots, some little lines, something going in that way. So for example, let's just go and create something in that way, and then we will continue by going through the whole shape of our crust and we will go and create some little particles. Again, you are welcome to create any shapes that you like. Just try not to overdo it. We will just need to create a balanced picture, so we don't need too many elements here. If you want to create some swirls or maybe just put some dots, you are welcome to go and do that. That will add more texture and more interest to your little illustration. So let's just go along the whole crust and create a few more of these elements. And again, for convenience, try to make these elements closed, so later on you can add the color with no problem. So now when we are done with our crust, let's just go to this middle part where we have the thickness and let's just add another swirl right here. So let's create something in that way. If you want to create other elements, you are welcome to go and do that. When we have the result like that, let's just go to this part right here that we will later on use for our sauce. And let's again create some additional parts here. So again, let's just spend some time and create some bubbles, some little dots here, just creating some interesting particles. When you are done, let's just go to our pepperonis and let's create some additional parts here too. So firstly, we will go to the edge that we have on the opposite where we have our thickness, and we will just go and repeat the overall shape right here. So you can just go just with your hand, so creating the line going in that way, or if you want, you can hold your line at the end and adjust it through your editing mode. Just create some additional line like that. When you have it, we will just go and create again some little particles in the shapes of circles or some wobbly shapes. Just going and creating a few elements that will add some interest to the picture. Again, your main goal here is not to overdo it. When we are done with the first pepperoni, let's just go to all of them, so to the rest two of them, and let's do something similar here. You can repeat everything that you have on your first pepperoni, so just make the same adjustments here, or you can just go with different shapes and create more interest. So for now, let's just spend some time here and create these additional peculiar shapes. As always, when you are done, take a look at everything from the distance, decide whether you like it or not, whether you want to adjust something or add more elements, and if you are overall satisfied, let's just go and add a few more details. So firstly, let's just go to our cheesy part, and again, we will go firstly to this part that we have right here on the top, and let's just go and create the peculiar shape like that. So we are creating some melting part here, and when we have it, let's just go to the bottom and let's create a few more additional parts here. So what we need to do is to go, for example, to the bottom and create a few lines that will be near our edge. If you want to create some little swirls or some little peculiar shapes here, you are welcome to go and do that. Let's just go along the bottom part and create some similar shapes that we have right here on our pepperoni or on our crust. You can just go and create maybe the shapes like that. So play around, find what works for you, and adjust the shapes to your liking. If you want to go to your shapes of the drops and maybe double this little line that you have right here, you are welcome to go and do that too. Your main goal is not to overdo everything here. Go along the edges of the pizza and on the dripping parts too, and add additional particles and wobbly lines that will emphasize the overall shape and will add some interest to the picture. And when we have the result like that, if you want, we can go to the main shape of our cheese and go along it and create a few more additional dots, maybe some little elements of the circles or little peculiar shapes. It's all up to you. When we have it in that way, let's just go underneath this little part where we have our spinach, and let's just go and create a big shape like that. You can play around with the overall shape, but what we need to do here is to create this peanut shape. When we have it, let's just go and create the additional elements even more. So we will just go right near these little pepperoni parts or to some of the blank spaces, and let's just go and add some little hearts here. We will go with the shapes like that. So if you want, you can go with very straight hearts like that, or if you want, you can go and create them in a very cute and rounded way. So let's just go and add a few of these elements going along the whole shape of our cheesy parts. Vary the size of these elements and vary their position. Try not to put these elements too close to other shapes you already have on your pizza because it will add unnecessary visual clutter, and our main goal here is to make everything look nice and balanced. Place the elements all over the pizza shape and scatter them nicely, rotate them if it's needed, zoom the canvas in and out to check out whether everything looks good or if you overdid it a bit. Adjust it if you feel like it. So now when we have the result like that, one more time, let's just go to the layers and let's create one more layer on top. And then we will go to our brush library, we'll go to our calligraphy folder, and we will again choose our monoline brush. When we have this brush selected, we will go and increase the size of it. So you can just try out it onto your canvas. What we need to do is to go to the middle part and create a dot like that. If the size is not enough, try it out one more time. And when you have the size that you like, let's just go and make a copy of this element. Or we can just either go to the opposite side and put the second dot just by using our brush. So decide whether you want to go and make a copy or just put just a dot here. And when you are done, let's just go and adjust it. So when we have the result that we like, let's just go and make the size of the brush just a little bit smaller, and we will then go right between our eyes and we will create a mouth here. We will create a peculiar shape for it, so we are going with a little V shape like that, and at the end we will hold it. You can see we can adjust it to our liking. If you think that maybe this shape is too big, you are welcome to go and make the size of the brush a little bit smaller and do it one more time. So let's just go and try it out one more time, hold it at the end. If you want to adjust it, you are welcome to go to the editing mode. You will have some notes here, so you can just go and tweak them to your liking. Let's just create something in that way. And also, let's just find a placement for it. When you are at the editing mode, you know what you need to do. You will just need to hold your Apple Pencil at some blank space and find the placement for this element. So you can go higher from your eyes or you can just go down. It's all up to you. Find what works for you and what you like. When you are satisfied with the placement of this element, let's just go away from our editing mode. Let's just take a look at everything from the distance and decide whether we like it or not, whether we want to adjust the position of our elements. If you want to adjust it, we can go to our arrow key, uniform methods, make it bigger maybe, make it smaller. So up to you. Find the placement for this element. If you want to rotate it, you are welcome to go and rotate it. Just play around with these little facial features and find what works for you. If you want to adjust your element separately, go firstly to your S ribbon icon, freehand method, select the element that you want to adjust, and then go to your arrow key and play with this element. When you are done, just tap on the first tool that you were using, and when you have the result like that, one more time, let's just take a look at everything here and let's decide whether we want to add more elements to our pizza itself. If you want to adjust it even more, let's firstly go back to our technical pan and let's just go and maybe add a few more additional texture elements here. So you can just go with some hearts or maybe some little elements of peculiar shapes. It's all up to you. Just spend some time here and fill up these blank areas. When you are satisfied, we can go to our layers and merge these two layers together. So let's just go to our layer on the top, tap in, merge down. When we have the result like that, we can also go underneath our little eyes and we can create the peculiar shapes that later on we will turn into our cheeks. So for this part, we can just go with simple lines like that. You can do it on this layer or you can create a new layer. So maybe it will be easier for you to adjust these lines. Let's just go and create the lines going in that way. Try to make them parallel to one another and just create them in that way. If you don't want to add additional elements, you are welcome to keep everything as it was before. So when we have the result like that, we are almost done with our lines right here. So if you want to go to your layers and combine these two layers together, you are welcome to go and do that. If you are satisfied with everything here and you don't want to adjust anything, let's just get back to our brush and let's just go and add some additional elements outside our shape of the pizza. So for example, let's just go and create some hearts and maybe some little sparkles just along the shape. So for example, let's just go over this left part and let's create a little heart here too. You can play around with the thickness of this element. You can play around with the roundness of this element. If you want to adjust it even more, just go to the S ribbon icon and play around with the shape. And when you have this heart element, let's just go underneath it and let's create a little sparkle of the shape of the sparkle. So let's just go and create these very peaky elements. And when you have it, let's just go underneath and let's create a few sparkles here too. So let's again go with the similar shape that we have created just right now. When you have the first sparkle, let's just go to this little drop right here and let's create one more sparkle of a smaller shape. If you want to go and create a few more elements, or maybe you want to go and add some dots or something in that way, you are welcome to go and do that. And now when we are done, let's one more time take a look at everything here and let's just put this illustration right in the center of our canvas. So when we have it on one layer, everything on one layer, we are going to our arrow key, we are going to our bottom panel and we are going under snapping. Right here, we will go in the settings and we will toggle snapping here too. And what we need to do is to go and hold our Apple Pencil at some blank space and we will need to find these orange lines, one vertical and one horizontal. When we see these lines, we know that we are right at the center of our canvas. Now play around. If you want to make the illustration bigger or smaller, you are welcome to go and do that. Just remember, if you are creating a bigger shape, you will need again to go and turn on the snapping and find these two orange lines to make sure that you are right at the center of your canvas. So now when you are overall satisfied, let's just tap on our arrow key to get away from this mode and let's start adding our colors. So firstly, let's just go to our layers and we will create one more layer right here. So we are tapping on the plus icon and we will drag this layer underneath our layer with the lines. So we will tap on it and we will just drag it down. What we need to do next is to go to this layer where we have our lines, we will tap on it and we will choose reference. When we are using reference, we can use these lines that we have on this layer, but we can go to the separate layer and we can add the colors by using these lines. So let's just go to our new layer that we have created and we will go to our color palettes. Let's select the color with the name Crust Yellow. When we have this color, let's just go and drag it to our main shape on the crust. And if you have some little parts right here, we can just go and color them separately. So for example, let's just go to our brush library firstly. We will go to our brush that we are using and we will decrease the amount of streamlines so it will be easier for us to manually go and recolor some parts. So now with this color selected and with our brush, just manually, let's go and recolor these little parts. What we need right now is to create a solid shape for our crust. And now when we have the result like that, let's just go and add additional colors to it to make it more interesting. What we need to do is to go to our layers, we will go to this layer with our crust, we will tap on it, and we will choose Alpha Lock. You can see now we have this checkerboard around our elements. That's exactly what we need. That means that we can add the colors only inside this area that we have right here where we have our color. So now when it is set in that way, let's just go to our brush library. And for example, we can go back to our calligraphy folder and select the monoline brush, or we can just use any solid brush from all of the folders that you can find in Procreate. So now let's just make the size of the brush bigger and then we will go to our color palettes and we will go and select the next color, which is our crust orange. When we have this color, we will go more toward the center of our shape right here and just boldly go and add the color in that way. When we have it in that way, we will go again to our color palette and we will select Crust Dark Orange. And with this color, we will go to the bottom and we will create another shape of the color in that way. When we have it in that way, let's just go and make a very smooth gradient here. What we need to do is to go to our Magic Wand tool and we will go under Gaussian Blur. You can see right here on the top we have Gaussian Blur 0%. We will just need to go and add this blur here. What we need to do is to go to our canvas, we will hold our Apple Pencil and we will move it toward the right until we have nice and smooth transition between the colors here. So you can play around and find what works for you. So for example, something around 20, maybe 30% will work the best. When you are overall satisfied with everything here, we will tap on our Magic Wand tool. Now, when we have the result like that, let's continue by going to our layers and let's create one more layer on top. When we did it, we will go to our color palette and we will select this crust bottom. And with this color, we will go to this area right here and we will add the color to this area. So again, just dragging and dropping it. And if you have some miscolored places like here, you can just go and manually adjust these little parts. Also, if you have the result like that, where you have this little white line between your color and your lines, we can adjust it too. So what we need to do is to go and try it one more time. So when you have this blank area, we will go to our icon on the top right. We will drag it to this place, but we won't lift up our Apple Pencil. We will move it toward the right until we have it colored. You can see on the top we have this threshold, so we will just need to go and make this little part colored, but we don't need to make the leaking from it. So you can just go toward the right until you have the result that you like, where you don't have this little white gap, and when you are satisfied, just lift up your Apple Pencil. So when you have the result that you like, let's one more time go to our layers and create one more layer on top. When we did it, we will go to our color palette and let's select this red color. With the red color, we will go to all of the areas that are supposed to be red and we will recolor them. So firstly, let's just drag our color to this area on the top and then we will tap continue filling. You can see now we have this color drop option on. So let's just go and tap on the areas that we would like to recolor with this color. So for example, we'll go to this little part right here on this side, just tapping inside and it will be recolored. And in the same way, let's just go and recolor some other areas. So we'll go to the bottom right here and also we will go to our pepperonis and recolor them too. When you are done recoloring your elements, let's just tap on this little check mark on the top and let's just take a look at everything and see whether we need to go manually and adjust some little parts, maybe recolor some little miscolored places. So spend some time here and adjust the parts that you would need to adjust. And also with the same color, let's just go through all the shapes of our little hearts and let's recolor them too. Again, dragging the color to one of them and then just going to our areas where we have our little hearts and let's just go and tap on them. If you are experiencing the result like that when you are tapping and everything is leaking, that's because our threshold one more time. So we will just need to go and adjust the threshold one more time. So just tapping on the area and moving our Apple Pencil to the side until only this little area is recolored and when it's not causing the leaking. So now when we have it in that way, let's just go and recolor this heart on the top too. And when we are done, let's just tap on our little check mark on the top. Now, if you have some little hearts right here, for example, that we didn't recolor because they have little gaps or if the threshold didn't work, we can go and manually recolor them, or if you want, we can go and later on recolor them in a different color. So for example, let's just keep these little elements as they are right now, and then we will go to our layers and create one more layer for the next color. So let's just go to our color palette and select this cheese color. With the cheese color, we will just go and drag it to this whole area and also to this little part right here on the right. If you have some elements that you need to recolor manually, please go and recolor them. Also, with the same color, we can go to our little sparkles here and recolor them too. When you are done, let's just go and start adding additional colors because now we have all the base colors ready. So let's just go to our layers and let's go to our cheese area firstly and let's work on it. We will go and create one more layer above it and we will need to make sure that we will be adding the additional color only on the areas that we already have on our previous layer. So let's just tap on this new layer and we will choose clipping mask. You can see here we have a little arrow. That's exactly what we need. When we have the result like that, let's just go to our brush library and we'll go to the airbrushing folder. We will select either soft blend or medium blend brush, and when it is selected, we will go to our color palette and we will go to this color with the name Cheese Orange. Let's adjust the size of our brush to something pretty big and we will go to the bottom part of our cheese and very easily we will be adding the additional color here. So just go and create this additional color transition. Try to make it very smooth, and if you already did, don't worry, we can just go and fix it later on. So now spend some time here and create a nice additional color going in that way. If you want to adjust it, if you already did it, let's just go again to our Gaussian blur and make some blur here. Make a nice and smooth transition, and when you are done, let's deselect everything by hitting our magic wand tool. So now when we have the result like that, let's just get back to our previous brush, and also you can just do it very easily by going to the top right here where we have our recent folder. Here you will have all the brushes that you used before. So that way, let's just get back to our technical pan, let's just go to our list, create one more layer on top, and we will recolor this little spinach part. So let's just get back to our color palettes and select the yellow color, which is our green color, and we will just go and drag it to these areas. Or if it's not working, we can go manually and recolor them, or we can try out our threshold adjustment here. So let's recolor both of these elements, and when we are done, let's just go and start adding more additional parts. So we will go again to our layers, and for now we don't need our reference on this layer with our line. So let's just go tap on it and let's select reference from the list to turn it off. When we did it, let's again go to our crust, and we will be adding the additional color to these little additional places that we have here. So we can do it on the same layer, or if you want, we can go and create one more layer, tap on it, select clip and mask, and work onto these little elements. So for example, let's just go and adjust these little parts that we have here by going firstly to our color palettes and selecting the darker color. So this time, let's just go to crust orange, and let's just go along this little dot right here, and we will recolor it manually. So now let's just go through all of these little parts, and by going to the right, we will need to use the darker color. So adjust it by going to a color palette, for example, use crust orange or crust dark orange or any other color that will be suitable here. And let's just go and add the additional color to these additional places. You also can go not only with the darker color, but also by going and selecting the lighter color. So for example, let's just go to crust yellow, and we will go to this little part right here on the bottom, for example, and add the color in that way. As for these little parts right here, let's just go to our colors, let's select crust bottom, and let's recolor these little parts with this color. If you want to go and maybe add some dots with this color, you are welcome to go and do that too. Basically, when we are done with this task, let's just go and add the shadow to it. So we will go again to our layers, let's create one more layer on top, tap on the layer and choose clipping mask. Now, as we are going to be creating our shadow, let's just go and change the blending mode of this layer. We will tap on the N icon and we will find multiply blending mode. As for the opacity for now, let's just keep it as it is, and later on we will adjust it if it's needed. So when we have this layer set, let's just get back to our color palettes and let's select this crust dark orange color. We will firstly go over the bottom part of the whole shape of our crust, and we will create a shadow going in that way. You can loop this shape around just by connecting it right here, and to make sure that you are doing everything correctly and you don't have any gaps in your line, you can go back to your layers, go to this layer where you have this line, where you have this shadow, tap on it and turn off clipping mask. Make sure that your line is closed, drag the color to this area, and when you have the result like that, go back to this layer, tap on it and choose clipping mask one more time. So now we can definitely say that our shadow is too bright. So let's just go to this M icon on our layer with the shadow, go to our opacity slider, and let's just drag it to the left until we like the result that we have here. So for example, let's just go with something around 35–40%, and when we have the result that we like, one more time, let's just go and create one more layer on top. Let's just tap on it one more time, clip and mask, and we will go and create another shadow. So again, we are going to our multiply blending mode, and you can go with the same color, or if you want, you can go and change it to something different. For example, we can go with red pepperoni details, or we can go with this cheese shadow color. We will go again to our crust, we will step a bit from it, and for example, let's just go and create a different shape for the shadow going in that way. Again, we are looping our shape around, and then we'll drag and drop the color to this area. If you want to go to the shadow and maybe add little dots or any other peculiar shapes, you are welcome to go and do that. And when we are done with it, let's just go and adjust the opacity of this layer. So again, tapping on the M icon and go into the opacity. So for example, this time, let's go with something around 30%. Or if you want to play around and find the opacity that works for you, that is more suitable for your illustration, you are welcome to do it by yourself. So now when we have the result like that, let's continue by going to our layers and let's just go to our next layer. Our next layer is this layer with our crust bottom. So let's again go create one more layer, tap on it, select clipping mask, go into the N icon, changing the blending mode to multiply. With the same color, which is our color with the name cheese shadow, let's just go and add the shadow to the bottom part of this little part. Also, if you want to go and maybe add this twirl right here, you are welcome to go and do that. And now when you are satisfied with it, let's just get back to our layers. Let's adjust the opacity of this layer. Find what works for you, and when you are done, let's continue by going to our next layer. Our next layer is our layer with red elements. So one more time, tapping on the plus icon, creating one more layer, clipping mask, multiply blending mode. If you want to go and straight away change the opacity, you are welcome to go and do that. But for now, we can just go with the maximum amount of opacity and later on we will change it. So now you can go and decide whether you want to go with the same red color that you used for your main shapes or with the same cheese shadow color that we used before. What we need to do is to go and add the shadows to our red parts. So firstly, let's just go to this part right here on the top. We will just go over the top part and repeat the curve here. And then we will go and connect the bottom part and add the shadow here too. Try to make nice and smooth connections between your shapes. And if you want to go and add the additional parts right here where we have some twirls or some little elements, you are welcome to go and do that. When you have this first shadow, let's just go to this thickness part on our pepperonis and let's add the shadow color here too. If you want to go and create the shadows on these little parts right here, you are welcome to go and do that. When you are done with these bottoms of the pepperonis, let's just go to this red part right here on the bottom, and again we will repeat the shape of the cheese right here. If you want to go and create some peculiar shapes right here, you are welcome to go and do that. If you want to go along the elements of our hearts, you are welcome to go and add the shadows to them too. Go more to the bottom right parts of them, and also don't forget to add the shadow on the big heart too. And now let's just get back to our layers and adjust the opacity of this layer that we added our shadows with. So for example, let's just go with something around 75–80%. And when we have the result like that, if you didn't add the shadows to your pepperonis with this darker color, let's just get back to our color palettes and select the red color. With the red color, we will go mostly to the bottom right parts and we will just go and create some peculiar shapes with our shadows. You can loop the shapes around and just drag and drop the color to these areas and just go all over these little parts on our pepperonis, on all of them, and add these little shadows with this color. When we did it, let's just go and add additional elements to our pepperonis with a different color. We can go again to our layers and either go to this layer where we have our main shapes and add the color here, or go to this layer and create one more layer on top of it. You can see when we did it, it automatically snapped and clipped to our previous layer because we have our little clipping mask on the top. We are not changing our blending mode here. We will go to our color palettes and select this red pepperoni details as a color. And with this color, let's just go to all of these little parts right here and let's just go and add this additional color to them. If you want to go and add additional colors to some other areas where we have here, you are welcome to go and do that. When we are done, if you think that maybe this color right here on the shadow on the pepperonis is too bright, we can go and adjust it. So let's just get back to this layer where we have our shadows and let's just go to our eraser. And for our eraser, let's select the brush from our airbrushing folder. Again, either soft blend or medium blend. And with this color, we will just go adjust the size of our brush and very easily we'll go over these little parts and softly erase a bit of it. And now when you have the result that you like, let's just get back to our normal brush for our eraser and let's continue adding our details. So let's just get back to our layers and let's just go to our cheese elements. So we will go above this layer where we have the additional color for our transition between the colors, and let's just go and create one more layer on top. Let's tap on it and let's choose clipping mask. So let's just go to this N icon and let's select multiply blending mode. For now, we can keep the opacity at maximum, and if you want to adjust it straight away, you are welcome to go and do that. We will go to our color palettes and we can select either cheese color, cheese orange, crust yellow, crust orange. You can just experiment a little bit. If you don't like one color, you can go and switch it to another color. So for example, let's start with cheese orange. And with this color, we will go to the bottom and we will start creating our shadow here. So let's just grab our brush and we will go and start creating a shadow going in that way. You can create some peculiar shape or just go with a normal line, normal curve, just as one curve. When you have the result like that, let's just loop this shape around and then we will drag and drop the color inside. If you have some parts that you need to adjust or maybe recolor manually, you are welcome to go and do that. If you need to go and adjust something, grab your eraser, grab your brush and work onto the shape. If you want to go and add maybe some little dots or some other elements with the shadow color, you are welcome to go and do that. And when we have the result like that, let's just go again to our layers. Let's just go to our M icon and let's adjust the opacity to something that we would like. So for example, let's just go with something around 35–40%. When we have it, let's just go and create one more layer. And we will do the same thing here. We will tap on it, we will choose clipping mask, we will go to our N icon and change the blending mode to multiply. Again, for opacity, you can go with 100% for now and later on adjust it. Let's then go to our color palette and let's select either red pepperoni details, crust bottom, dark crust orange. Just decide on the color, and when you have the color selected, let's just go more toward the bottom and let's work onto these little details and put them in the shadows too. So very easily just go in there and starting to create another shadow here. Just go along your lines, or if you want to experiment and maybe add something different, you are welcome to go and do that. So let's just go and create this outline, then we will loop it around and we will add our additional shadow here. If you don't like that this color is going to your little sparkles, you can just go grab an eraser and erase this shadow from the sparkles. Now take a look at everything here, decide whether you want to go and add more additional colors right here. So for example, we can go to all of these additional peculiar shapes and recolor them by using this color of our shadow. So spend some time here, adjust these shapes to your liking, or decide whether you don't want to do that. It's all up to you. Basically, what we need is to create a nice and peculiar shape for this shadow. If you notice that you have some miscolored places, you are welcome to go to the layer where you have these additional little places that you need to erase or adjust and adjust them from this layer. So for example, here we can go to our layer with our cheese, go to our color palette, select our cheese color and go to this little miscolored place and recolor it. And when you did it, let's one more time go to our layers. We will go to our layer with our shadow, the second one, and we will go and adjust the opacity of this layer. Let's just go with something around 60%, and if you want to go and create some additional color, additional shadow on the top, for example, with a different color, you are welcome to go and do that either on the same layer or on the separate layer. So for example, let's create one more layer. We will tap on it, we will choose clipping mask, multiply blending mode, and we will go to our color palettes and select either crust bottom or cheese shadow. Let's just go with the cheese shadow and we will go over the top firstly, and we will create some peculiar shape right here. Let's recolor this whole area, and also we will just go with this color and we will add some additional lines and additional dots. So when you've recolored the rest of the area, let's just go to the top right here and let's create some additional lines like that. Or if you want to create different shapes, you are welcome to go and do that. Just create some peculiar shapes that will look nice. If you want to go to some other areas and add this color here too, you are welcome to go and do that. For example, recolor this big swirl on the bottom left and the places near it. And when you are done, let's just go and adjust the opacity of this layer. So one more time, tapping on the M icon and adjusting the opacity to something around 45, maybe 50%. When you are done with this task, let's just go and add some little highlights here. So we will go and create one more layer, and we can either go along the whole shape that we have here, or we can work separately with our cheese firstly. Let's just go with the cheese. So we have created our layer. Let's just tap on it and let's select clipping mask one more time. We will go to our N icon and we will choose add blending mode. As for the opacity, let's go for now with something around 20%, and then we will go to our color palette and we will select either light yellow or light gray color. So for example, let's start with light yellow and we will go to this area right here that we have on the left and we will recolor it with this color. The same way we can go along this whole shape on our left and create a highlight going in that way. If you want, we can go to this little part right here and recolor it too. With the same color, we can go to some other areas. For example, we can go and recolor some of these little hearts that we left, or we can just go and add a few more elements just with this color. So for example, let's just go and add a few more peculiar shapes on the bottom. And if you want to go along this edge on the cheese on the top, you are welcome to go and do that too. If you think that maybe the opacity is not enough and you want your highlights to be brighter, you can go to your layers and adjust the opacity of it. So for example, let's go a little bit higher with something around 40% of opacity. If you want to go to your cheese parts and if you want to go and maybe add some little dots that will show some texture, you are welcome to go and do that here. So let's just spend some time and let's add a few more additional shapes like that. And when you are satisfied with it, let's just go again to our layers. We will go to our spinach part and let's just go and create one more layer on top, clipping mask, multiply blending mode. We will go again with our yellow color, which is our green color, and we will add some little shadows to the bottom right part. So let's just go and very easily do that. When you are done, adjust the opacity on these elements. So again, go into our layers, go into the opacity slider onto this layer and adjusting it. And now let's just go and create more highlights on the whole shape in general. So if you want, you can go to every layer with the color. So for example, starting from the crust right here and creating one more layer on top and adding the highlights in that way. Or we can just go above all the layers right here and create one more layer, set it as add blending mode, adjust the opacity, go select either light yellow or light gray color, and let's just go and add more highlights. So for example, let's just go to the crust firstly, and we will go and add the highlight going in that way. We are creating just simple shapes for our highlights. We are going with some dots, some little lines. If you want to create more highlights, you are welcome to go and do that. But the main goal here, as always, not to overdo everything. So for example, let's just go over the top part of our crust completely, go into the second shadow, and we will add the highlight going in that way. If you want to go to some other areas, for example, add the highlight right here on our middle part right here that we have in red color, you are welcome to go and do that. If you want to go to some pepperonis and maybe add some highlights here too, you are welcome to go and do that. Basically, what we need is to go along all of these shapes that we have here and add our highlights on the opposite sides from where we have our shadows. So now very easily, let's just spend some time here and add our additional elements right here with our highlights. Always take a look at your illustration from the distance to see whether you need to adjust something or not. And when you are satisfied with your highlights, let's one more time go to our layers and let's work onto our facial features. So firstly, let's just go and select this layer with our lines and we will create one more layer above it. We will clip it to our previous layer, so it is our clipping mask, and then we will go and recolor the shapes of our eyes. So we will go to our color palettes and we will select the color with the name eyes, and we will just go above these elements and we will recolor them. If you want to change the brush to monoline or round brush, you are welcome to go and do that. Just manually go there and recolor these areas. When we did it, we will go again to our color palettes and we will go and select our red color. With the red color selected, we will go to the bottom parts of our eyes and we will create additional color here. So let's just go with a shape like that. You can play around with it by going to the editing mode and adjust the curvature on this element, or just try it out one more time. Basically what we need is something like that. When you have it, we will go to the second eye and do the same thing here. When we did it, we will go again to our color palettes and select the white color. With the white color, we will go and create the highlights on top. So let's just go to this eye that we have on our left and we will create the first highlights in that way. We will do the same on the opposite side and put the same highlights on the same place, and then we will adjust the size of our brush to make it smaller, and we will go and add a few more highlights in that way. If you want, we also can go and select the same color that we used for our bottom parts, and we can do it just by holding one of our fingers on the screen and invoking our eyedropper tool. When the tool changed its color on the top, we can lift up our finger and we can go and add the same highlights with the same color on the top. So for example, we can go with something like that, and when we are done, we will go again to our color palette and let's just go with this red pepperoni details color. We will go and increase the size of our brush and we will go inside our little mouth and we will add a little tongue here. Again, hold your line and the ends, adjust the size of this element, adjust the curvature by going to the editing mode. It's all up to you. Find the line and the curve that works for you. When you are done, go to the bottom and manually recolor the rest of the area. When we have the result like that, let's just go and add the cheeks. So we will firstly go to our layers, we will go to this layer where we have our highlights or underneath it, and from here we will create one more layer. Let's just go to our color palette and we have two colors for our cheeks. So on the left we will use our color right here that is a little bit lighter. And we will just go and create the shape of the circle. So again, hold your line and the end, go to the editing mode and adjust it to your liking. So find what works for you and create the shape that will suit your illustration. When you are done, let's just go inside and recolor this little part. And then we will go to our color palette and select the second color for our cheek. So the color that is a little bit darker. When we have it, we will go to the opposite side and we will create the same shape right here. Again, adjust it by going to the editing mode, find the size and the shape that you like. When you are done, let's just go inside this part and let's add the color inside. You can see we've recolored some of our hearts. We can just go and manually adjust these little parts by erasing them. And also, if you recolored some of the lines right here, we can just go and either recolor them completely with this red color, or we can go to this layer where we have recolored our lines, grab our eraser and erase these little recolored parts. Now we are almost done with our pizza, and if you like the result like that, you can keep it as it is. But what else we can do here is to recolor some of our lines to soften up the whole illustration. What we are going to be doing is going to our layers and we will create one more layer above our layer with the lines, and again we will tap on it and we will choose clipping mask. Let's just grab this layer and drag it underneath our layer where we have recolored our eyes. And then we will go to our brush library and again we will select either medium blend or soft blend brush, and we will be going along of our lines and we will be soften their color. So for example, we can go to our color palettes and select some lighter color. For example, let's just start with our crust orange, and we will go just to the lines right here, adjust the size of your brush and very softly go along the lines and just soften the color here. If you want to recolor it completely, you are welcome to go and pick some solid brush or just go switch between colors and adjust the color by going in that way. So now let's just go along some of the lines that you would like to change, and let's just go and add this additional color and soften up our illustration. Make the lines on the bright sides of the pizza brighter with the light colors, and overall choose the similar colors to the colors of the content you are recoloring at this moment. Where it's red, choose red and go softly over the lines. Where it's yellow, choose yellow and add the nice additional color. And when you are done adjusting your lines, we are done with our illustration. I hope you are proud of your result. Share it on socials and tag me so I can see your beautiful creations. And if you enjoyed this video, you can find more similar kawaii tutorials on my Skillshare or on Patreon at a link in the description. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next tutorial.